before we start up, even though I know we're started. Just waiting for it to pop up.
Yeah, according to this, we're live.
All right, cool. We're live. Why don't
Yeah.
you introduce the show, Lil?
Wait, what?
I said, why don't you introduce the show?
It's a prophetic title. I didn't realize.
The Armageddon of
Oh, look, this thing's got volume problems too. Armageddon. Let me close.
What do you think when I say I'm going to turn the volume off of the YouTube channel? That's like exactly.
I closed YouTube on my computer.
Yeah.
I'm not using it.
Oh,
But I've got my tablet up so I can deal with chat.
Yeah.
And the tablet, I forget, has a volume control. I'm a boomer. What?
Yeah.
Big deal. You know what I mean? Big whoop.
Big whoop.
I don't care. I almost F-bombed right there.
Well, it would be normal.
No, well, I mean, I don't want to F-bomb, but I don't have very good control over my vocabulary.
Are you the kind of person that feels that if people speak with blue language that they are not intelligent?
Well, since you're not showing your face, I'm gonna not show my face for starters. And I am sort of that opinion, not that they're not smart, but they're just a little bit lazy with language. But at the same time, you can't really be not lazy with reflexive language. Right. So if you say the S word or the F word and it just pops out, well, what are you supposed to do? Take a deep breath, think about it, and say, well, that awfully hurts, sir.
Yeah.
So in a way, yeah. In a way, no.
I remember Jill's father really couldn't stand when there was like cursing in movies and stuff like that.
Oh, I bet he just loved this modern era.
Yeah, it's funny. We were this should tell you when I was.
Hello, Bruja. Hello, coffee junkie.
We were watching the Blair Witch Project on video cassette tape over at Jill's parents' house, and he was watching it with us, and they cuss up a storm in that movie, and he didn't like that.
He didn't like the cussing.
Yeah, he's like, oh, do they have to curse all the time?
I just watched a SciShow video on blue language the other day, and they said that people that use female pejoratives, they don't have to reach very far for those, so that it's not an indication of intelligence.
Sure.
But that there are several positive effects you can get from cussing. One of them is that you can endure physical pain longer if you're cussing. And the other one did have something to do with intelligence, but I can't say that I understood. I don't understand how it indicates a level of intelligence greater than the norm, because it doesn't take any intelligence at all to cuss.
Right.
So I don't know that I'm on board with that one, although their stuff's usually pretty well researched.
I've heard other studies where they have said that cursing isn't that big a deal as far as showing your intellect. And then here we have Coffee Junkie says something similar also.
Yeah.
I think this was like on an NPR or something like that. One of those.
Well, it must be true then, right?
Well, I like to watch programs where they have like studies, but I don't like to write those down. Usually when I'm driving.
I do like NPR quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like science, and nah, I don't care. I just like science.
Right.
Turn off my phone? Let me do that too.
Yeah, I already did that too. Good move.
Well, so I just want to ask our Bruja real quick. How does it feel to be the happy owner of Castle Grayskull or whatever it was that she won?
It was actually a Skeletor statue.
A Skeletor statue.
Skeletor in the villain in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Bruja, how does it feel?
Oh, well, you know how it feels. I've seen the pictures on Instagram.
I like to say bruja. I think it's fun.
That would be like
damn awesome. She even cussed. Fucking good job. Nice. Nice.
so Bruja. It's like in Young Frankenstein. Bruja, and then the horse is winning in the background.
Oh, I've never seen that movie.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Whew.
I didn't grow up watching movies or caring much.
I hear you. That's just like, as far as I'm concerned, one of my top 5 movies.
Well, maybe the next time I'm in California, you should make me watch it.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Because I'm not going to sit down here and watch it in Albuquerque. It's raining, by the way, which is awesome. But I'm not going to watch it here.
Are you happy?
Ow, that is hot. That is hot.
Are you happiest when it's raining?
Here, yes, because it means the humidity in my house goes up.
Okay.
Trust me, you would notice if your humidity dropped below 20% for the entire year. You would notice.
I see. How is that for your paperback books?
Well, it is not the worst thing for the preservation of paper. It's not the best thing for the preservation of glue. So when it comes to a book that's bound exclusively with glue, it can have a detrimental effect, and it can warp the books, and it can break the bindings.
I see. And you're dealing with old stuff back there.
Not too old, but yeah, in the 50s. I don't go any earlier than the 50s, I don't think.
All right,
Wait.
cool. So the moisture isn't going to kill it.
No, you can have Berkeley's got like 70% humidity year round. I mean, I think that's the average, and books do just fine there. They don't get moldy, they don't get too damp, they don't get too dry. I would say anywhere between 40 and 70% just fine.
Have you shot for books in like Washington or Portland or anything like that? Oregon, I guess?
Yes, Washington, yeah. I didn't notice any detrimental effects there. You can control humidity with air conditioning.
Sure.
So, like in the summertime, places like Texas are fine. But I have noticed the books coming out of Florida, at least one particular collection that I got a hold of, were moldy. You could smell it. So I'm not buying any more books out of Florida, and I would never buy comic books out of Florida either for the same reason.
Wow. Okay.
Too much humidity, man. The whole South, all the way from like Louisiana over to Georgia, coastal Georgia anyway. I'm not touching that stuff unless I can see it firsthand and smell it before I buy it.
Right.
There's nothing worse. You get a hold of a moldy book. There's nothing worse, man. It spreads to everything you own.
There was that time when we did that buy at Half Price Books when we worked on Solano.
Yeah.
And we got all those sci-fi paperback books that you'll never see again.
I remember.
And it was like old pulpy stuff, right?
It was amazing.
And all of them were dotted with mildew.
Foxing.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
And and Lowell here, we're going to rescue these books.
We did. We rescued a bunch of them.
You put them on flats, and you made sure they were sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
And you left them in the downstairs break area where there was a little sun peeking through. And I remember that room smelled like mildew. It was horrible.
Yep. Yeah. I probably
did that disinfect them like you thought it would, or were they all?
The sun does kill the smell, but I think what it's doing is doing two things. One is dehydrating the material, so it's pulling the moisture out. The moisture is what's allowing the mold to bloom. And then also the sun itself, sunlight, will kill or put into stasis the mold. So you remove the moisture, which it needs to reproduce, and then you also put it into a state of dormancy, and that will get rid of the smell. You can also do it with desiccant packs to suck the excess moisture out of the book or whatever. That will get rid of the smell, but it won't get rid of the spores. So then if you end up putting that book in a box with other books, in an environment where it gets a little too moist and there's not enough sun, it'll spread to all those books and it'll bloom all over all those books. And I just throw them away now. If I smell it, I get rid of the book.
So if you saw those books come through again, what would you do?
I would cherry pick the very, very best ones and I would process those.
And then destroy the others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I had comics come in like that. I just throw them away. It's sad. Yep. Every once in a while there'll be one and I'll put it in a bag, but it reeks right through that also.
You can smell it through the bags. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Well, you're smelling spores, man. So if you smell it, it's getting everywhere.
Yeah, you're breathing it in.
It's getting into your breakfast cereal. It's getting into your walls. It's getting all over your other books. It's like anything out of nature, pretty much. Anything that seeds in mass.
I wonder how, since comics are not on newsprint anymore, I wonder how if it would spread from the newsprint ones to the new ones, or if
probably not very well.
Mildewy.
Their paper's really good nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't think it'll be nearly as bad. I don't think the moisture soaks into those pages nearly as well. But what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, the ink seems to really seep into the pages. DC's been using different pages these days. It's not going to really show up, but I'm going to hold it up to the camera. The pages are a little bit more matte.
Yeah.
They're very, it's a little bit more reminiscent of like the Baxter or Mando papers, although those were a little bit more rigid, whereas these are a little more supple. And anyway, I like these new pages that DC uses. It's as close to newsprint as it's been. And the thing is on the slick pages, it kind of warbles, especially if there's like a lot of black. Think of your printer when you overdo
the black
thing.
Any ink, it's got moisture in it.
Yeah, exactly. So you just have like those lines. Well, this is the page though, and it kind of like I said, warps it a bit.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, again, you can wait till the things get collected. Hopefully it will be a different material.
Okay, so we were talking about this yesterday, though, or last week, excuse me. When you have a condition that is ubiquitous in a print run, then that condition, for example, if you've got the wave to all the pages, every single comic printed in that print run has that wavy page problem.
Right.
It's considered, I don't remember the word for it, but there is a word for it, and it's considered as expected. And so it doesn't actually affect value.
Yeah.
And that's great unless you want a perfect one, in which case, tough poopy.
Yeah. Well, there's always, it has to be some like horrible disaster usually that will occur that will destroy every single book. There'll always be one that's okay. But if the problem is that truck went over the side of a road and all the comics were destroyed, well, they're all destroyed.
Well, the only ones that'll survive are the ones that got sent to the artist and writer.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff will happen. Trucks don't all go to the same place, so
right.
It always seems that the East Coast never has a problem with it. It's always the West Coast.
Yeah, where do they do the printing? Canada?
Often, yes.
Where, like Montreal?
If we're talking about, well, I don't know for a fact. But yes, Canada. There are printers in the US, but of course, we tax so heavily, it's cheaper to send things to China a lot of times.
That is unbelievable. Okay, do you remember when they were building the bridge, the Bay Bridge? They were doing the new span?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was working for G.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. Sorry.
Okay, well, I didn't hear you anyway. I was working for GE at the time, and they have a hard rule at GE. If it comes from China, you're not allowed to use it for cranes or rigging. Not even joking. If it says made in China, you're not allowed to use it for any lifting with cranes. And then here we are in San Francisco buying our bridge from China. I don't know, man. It's like it's kind of their steel manufacturing is a joke. As far as
security control, what it is?
It's quality control, dude. They don't have any.
Yeah.
So you could get some really good steel, and the next week you could get some really bad steel. Almost guaranteed that those spans of bridge are not equal. What are you gonna do? Wait for it to fail.
Jeez. Holy cow. Well, you know, I'm afraid of heights. Like big time.
And don't be climbing any towers, dude.
Over bridges is definitely one of those things where, you know, now I'm going to be doubly afraid going over a bridge.
Take Bart. Take Bart.
Just take Bart. Yeah. Well, hopefully nothing keeping the water from drowning everybody is made from Chinese.
Oh, it'll be fine. Hey, what's up? I heard a rumor that they were building another tunnel under the bridge or under the water.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
No, what would have been awesome is that high-speed rail.
I voted for that before I left.
Yeah, well.
And I didn't vote for anybody that said it was a bad idea. So those two Republicans that were like, I'm going to shut it down. I was like, no, you're not. Boop. Unvote.
Yeah. They didn't need to shut it down.
It shut itself down. And now California's got to pay back all that money they borrowed from the Fed.
Man, oh man.
No, it would have been great, man, but it's not going to happen for a while now.
Yeah. So my cousin came up and visited for Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, that's right. That was Saturday.
Yeah, she was saying that she listens to our show.
What, this show?
This show.
This show.
And probably, yeah, Coffee Junkie came in. So
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm checking the numbers right now. What's her name?
My cousin's name?
Yeah, I don't see her in here.
The Coffee Junkie is my cousin, I do believe.
Oh, really? Hold on. Coffee Junkie. Are you Yule's cousin?
So, well, she is on Instagram. So
she says she's your cousin.
Well, there you go. So she's willing to accept the responsibility of.
Oh, anyway. No. Glitches. What?
No.
Have you seen any Yule?
I haven't seen anybody. I haven't been watching all the time.
Hold on, I'm gonna make sure I don't have anything running in the background because the other day I had a damn Windows update.
I do. I can close this also.
Close anything you're not using.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
I'm not using anything.
I'm not using.
I've got Chrome open and the task manager, and that's it.
YouTube, and one tab open that needs to be open.
I'm going to leave Task Manager open just so I can see if something goes nutty. But right now, my CPU is not even loaded. It's like 15%.
So I think I'm okay. Anyhow.
The GPU's you. Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
All right. So anyhow, my cousin came up to help on Free Comic Book Day, and she listens to our show.
Nice.
She says the minute we start talking about comic books, she stops listening.
That's when I go to bed too. That's funny. Then maybe what we should do is we should intersperse.
No, that's dickish. You know, if someone can hang out for one part and then leave on the other part, that might be the best way.
Oh, well, that's completely up to your cousin or people that are like your cousin, but
right.
That makes sense. Where did you go? Do I have to turn off my camera again?
No, I'm just doing that because I'm taking a sip of water.
You're hiding the fact that you're sipping water.
Nobody wants to see that.
You're so modest.
Yeah, well.
What are you going to do when you have to breathe?
Well, I do that sometimes.
I just go ahead and take a sip of my PPT.
Oh, wow. All right, very good. Well, I'm back.
Don't be embarrassed, man. Everything we do is just human.
All right, well, that's fine. I'll scratch all my armpit. Be all monkey-like.
Don't pick your nose. That stuff is gross.
Yeah.
It is, man. It's kind of nasty.
What about like a farmer blow? Is that okay?
Oh. Oh, use a kerchief or whatnot so that nobody can see what's coming out of your nose. You know what I mean? Just cover it up over there.
I had a friend named Brandon, and he totally used a handkerchief. He's younger than me.
Yeah.
This is when I was younger.
It's smart, actually. I like them very much, but I've never bought one.
You're kind of hanging out with a rag full of your snot, though.
Yeah, it desiccates really fast, though.
If you say so.
It does.
All right.
Have you not kept a Kleenex in your, when you're real sick?
I do, but I also have taken it out of my pocket and thought, wow, this is really disgusting.
It's sopping wet, and you're like, why didn't I throw this away already?
No, it's probably because I was sick or something like that, or I have an allergy.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm okay with it. I mean, where would you even go and get a handkerchief these days?
The handkerchief store, duh.
Wait, where?
The handkerchief store.
The handkerchief store. I don't even know what that is. It would be a haberdashery.
Probably a haberdashery would have them, and I'm pretty sure truck stops still sell them. And anywhere do-rags are sold because they are one and the same.
So very good. So I'll go to Mervin's.
Maybe. Is that where you used to go to get your do-rags?
Oh, yes, actually it was.
Yeah.
I wore a do-rag because I worked in a donut shop. And if you had hair, and I had some hair at the time, it got really hot in there. And, you'd sweat all over the place. So you'd do-rag it up.
Is that for the health inspector?
No, it's just it's just, it's either you use it as a do-rag or you
blow your nose with it. Right.
You blow your nose with it, exactly, and then you wear it, as a do-rag.
Oh man.
Head shops, very good.
What now?
Head shops. We can get handkerchiefs at head shops. Now that I know where a head shop is.
Isn't there one right across the street from your store?
Yeah, it's a smoke shop.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, smoke shop owner. I didn't realize that there was a distinction.
I get those little batteries for the.
I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Do you remember that one that I had?
Yeah, how did that go?
I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah.
But it was amazing, and I really just wish it was twice as concentrated.
Yeah, that's great.
Because that was
Lowell over there, man. He is.
Do not.
He's as close to.
I don't want to go to jail.
No, come on. This guy is like William Burroughs. He's the closest to William Burroughs of a friend I have.
Wait.
How you like that? Oh, well, minus the having gay sex with underage kids from other countries.
I've never shot my wife in the head.
Oh, you've never been married, so
I've never murdered somebody in Mexico.
Yeah.
I
was just talking about the usage.
No, I know what you're getting at. I do like my mind-altering substances, but I've never done any. So weird, huh? Conundrum. How does that happen?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. So there we go.
So your cousin came up to New Comic Book Day.
Free Comic Book Day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Free Comic Book Day.
Yes.
And why? What was the occasion?
Well, ever since we opened, with the exception of I think 1 year, she has helped us out. She brought the cake that her mother, my aunt, made for a celebration of our opening a store, and that was cool. And my cousin helped out during that time, because we didn't have a lot of staff, and although we had some people to help, she was our main person. And not only that, she was really, because that was Free Comic Book Day is also kind of like our first week of being in operation. It celebrates our very first anniversary being a store from 2011. And yeah, she helped get the store together. It was just myself, my brother, Ryan Hudson helped us out. Jeff Hunt helped us out a bit. And and then my cousin, Jeff's girlfriend, and I'm sure I'm missing like one or two other people's at the time. But yeah, it was like a really small crew. And
which Jeff are you referring to there?
My brother Jeff and
Okay.
his girlfriend at the time. There was a lot of cleanup because we got the place painted, but then the wood floor got fixed up, and then dust was everywhere. So we were cleaning forever. It was horrible, or it felt like forever.
You don't like to clean?
I like cleaning, but wow, that was a lot of dust.
So speaking of dust, today, they hooked up what is called in some circles a swamp cooler, and in some circles it's called evaporative cooling, and it's basically a substitute for an air conditioner, which uses evaporation to cool the air that's getting pumped into your house. They hooked it up today, so I decided, oh, I'm gonna try this out, see how it works. So I turned it on high on accident straight away, and it blew all sorts of stuff in my eyes and all over the house. I will be cleaning for the next few days. Fortunately, some jerk's coming over on Thursday to clean my carpets.
Fortunately, some jerk, huh?
Yeah, they make me do it whenever I renew my lease.
I see.
They don't think I'm taking good care of it.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not. I have a vacuum cleaner, and that's what my carpet gets. It gets vacuumed. They can smell like mold and mildew, which is why I had to test it out to see if it was going to work out for me, because I will not be having that nasty stuff blowing all over my books.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So how was Free Comic Book Day?
Free Comic Book Day was very good.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was excellent, actually. We had a very good day, money-wise.
Did you have a fun day, though? Was it a good time?
It's always a fun time. Everything leading up to Free Comic Book Day is hell. You're stamping books, or in our case, taking stickers and placing them on the book. You're getting boxes together and bags of free comics that we're going to hand people out. And then we have all the boxes together that we're going to place out for people to choose from. And it's, think of any time you're hosting something. You don't know how many people are going to come. Sometimes you just think like nobody's going to come. And if they are going to come, maybe they're just going to come for free comics. And, we just kind of are wasting our time. And it's, these are the things you think about as you're setting up and you're getting ready. And not only that, we were trying a few things different this year. We didn't have stormtroopers because we weren't able to get them this year for the store.
Can I guess what other things that you did differently this year?
Yeah, go for it. Guess.
Did you smile and welcome everybody to your store?
Yeah, I do that. I try and do that often, I'm a little self-conscious about my smile, but I try.
You're a good front of house guy. I've told you that before.
I appreciate that. I think I was doing pretty good. I was playing gopher or a rover. Yeah, rover. In softball, you get that extra player. And I was working register. I was handing comics out. I was line control. I was glad handing people.
What does that mean? Glad handing.
Glad handing. It's the person that shakes hands and says hi to everybody. I guess, I don't know. I think it probably comes from some sort of like political thing or something.
Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that one because I don't really know what it means.
I always thought it was a person that was trying to. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I always thought it was someone that's trying to like seek someone's approval or get something from somebody. And sometimes it's just I'm think of like an attaché maybe.
I think we should stop guessing and look it up. Is what I think.
Okay, fine. Do that. You do that while
I'm gonna look it up. And in the meantime, tell me what happened. Like,
Every time you saw me, that's where I was. Exactly. That's what it was. So we didn't have a sale in the store. Normally we have a store-wide sale where everything we've purchased for the, everybody to come in and take a look at our store and have something important to buy or something that they want to buy, we usually have a sale for it. And this year we didn't do that. We're like, it's something I had wanted to do before, and because uh because of all the stuff that's been going on lately in the store, we're like trying to like change things up a little bit. We were going to have things that were discounted and things that we had a new half price shelf, and we had anybody that purchased something from that shelf got a free raffle ticket. And we had a whole bunch of things that have been sitting around, like our last Millennium Falcon and this really overpriced, over big Skeletor statue. And although I really like it, it's not something we really need in the store and not something we're going to show off and go, ooh. And ultimately, it's just something that's going to sit for another 5 years. And, we got some money for some raffle tickets for that. People know about our half price section of comic books. People know that we're buying, comic books, all because of the raffle and, and that section. So that's what we were really trying to gear, people towards, as far as like, what to come into the store. And then on top of it, we still have like Saga and all the other stuff. It's just going to be at full price. And ultimately we sold some from the half price and we gave some raffle tickets away. We sold some raffle tickets, and we're going to get rid of some of this merchandise that, it's just kind of been sitting around, but it's still really neat stuff. And then it also lets people know that we have stuff like that, and they can come in later on and, well, probably win a raffle to get it later.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to have a sale like next week?
No, we're not, but we are planning on having something real soon. And I want to do something where we have like a spectacular, like back issue sale.
Yeah.
People pump for it and then do it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a really good time to advertise for something that you're doing soon when you're getting all those people that wouldn't normally come into your store.
Yeah, without a doubt. So what we want to start doing is emailing people consistently, regularly, letting people know about cool books that are coming out, or just, what's going on in the stores, so that people get an idea that, we're alive.
Right.
It's not just free comic book day.
Let me give you the definition of glad hand.
Yeah, go for it.
It is to greet or welcome warmly with the appearance of warmth, a warm or hearty but often insincere greeting or welcome.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said I probably don't want to compare myself with that.
So you were glad handing everybody, were you?
I was. Well, no, I mean it was whatever, glad handing plus sincerity.
No, minus insincerity.
All right, minus insincerity. So I was handing, I guess.
Yes, that's all it is.
Oh, jeez.
How does Jill like being back at work?
She loves it.
Does she?
I don't know if she loves it, but she made some friends over there, and most of our friends are either church, school, family, or work.
Church?
Yeah, people go to church.
Do you?
Not her, but other people do.
Hey, why did you guys start the construction when she was not working?
So that she could be in the house.
Oh, see, I would just let them do it and go.
Yeah, well, that's nice, but
lock up your valuables and. Okay, no, I mean it makes sense, but
not only that, just so that they can be here and someone can watch them, because not to disparage these people, but there are horror stories. Yeah, exactly. There's always a horror story you can find out about someone fixing a toilet or or it's usually when it's renovation. I was adding another room. I was making my garage a den, et cetera, and it never got finished. And then I'm on Judge Judy and
Judge Judy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. I was at the laundromat 2 weeks ago, which means I need to do laundry this week. But I was at the laundromat, and they had Spanish Judge Judy on. I don't
Okay.
remember what it was called, but man, it was the exact same show, down to the tone, down to the fast talking. I mean, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was good. It was real good.
So it was a person speaking Spanish who took their cue from Judge Judy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it was the Spanish language version of the show. Like to a T. It didn't look the same. It looked real like 1980s Florida. I don't know how to explain it. It looked real weird. Obviously studio. I don't know. It was weird. A lot of chartreuse colors and.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, the colors.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. So yeah, Free Comic Book Day was excellent. A lot of people came in. We gave away a lot of comic books. A lot of people bought stuff. We had one of our best days in a whole long time. When we were done with that day, we all went out to eat at Angeline's.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at Instagram.
That's right.
I got the sense that I was like, hey, I'm gonna ask you a question, and then I sent you the text message, and then I checked Instagram and I saw that you were eating dinner, so I was like, never mind. Forget it. I'm sorry.
What was the question again?
If it took me a week to ask it, I didn't care.
I see.
You know, I don't remember.
I overstuffed myself that night.
Whatever. You had a good day, man. It's a nice way to cap off. A good meal is a really nice cap to a good day.
Yeah. So everybody that helped out in the store, we just all went out and ate. It was a cool night.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody that showed up. If anybody that was in our store during that time is watching this now or later, I really appreciate everybody that came in. There's some really good stuff coming out in the next couple weeks. Oh, unfortunately, maybe I should tell everybody.
Now, hold on. Let's start with the fact that you're at home again.
I am at home again, yes.
Why are you at home, Yule? Why aren't we doing this in the store?
Sorry, what Diablo Hashcraft, right? I am back at home for the third straight week because this week we didn't get our comic books today to put up
at all.
At all.
Not even one.
One box. There was one box.
What was in it?
No. We didn't get it because we needed to get all of them together.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have taken it, man.
No. It had to be done that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this in order to like recoup cost?
No, I'm in a COD situation with Diamond right now.
So if you accept one box, you have to pay them?
Yeah. So my point is, like, since all of the boxes weren't here, I'm not giving them. I'm going to try not to curse.
Shoot.
If I'm supposed to get 10 boxes and one comes in, UPS comes in and says, well, I'm supposed to get a check for this much. And we're like, well, where's my other 9 boxes? And I'm not, you just don't give a COD money for something you don't get.
Right.
And you're going to see when we talk about comics that are coming out next week, you're going to see exactly the reason why you don't do that.
Well, I'm intrigued now because I'm not very smart, so I don't know that I'll figure out anything. But if I do, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, so ultimately there was a mistake and not all the boxes came in. We don't want to give money up front for something we haven't received, so I didn't get anything. There was one box sitting there. It might have been a lot of the comics. There's not even a lot of comics coming out. But I don't want to get that box, you know?
So you have no idea what was in it?
No.
What if it was all Superman #1s?
Yeah, well. Coming back when I get the other boxes, it's just going to be on Friday, unfortunately.
Friday. That's better than Sunday, isn't it?
Oh my God, comic books. It's such a Bruja. She knows. Comic books come out monthly, or they come out once every 2 weeks. There's a little feedback going on right now. Is it on my end?
Probably. And if you're really, really lucky, they come out every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Every week.
So the possibility of selling it evaporates every day after it originally comes out, especially if it comes out weekly. A little less so if it's bi-weekly. Even more, you even have a better possibility of selling it if it's monthly. You're gonna, again, we'll see in our top 10 list, you'll see how that might be something that we can pay attention to going forward.
Let's can we? Would it make sense right now?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think so. And just to talk about the weekly Avengers, the first one was a pretty good story. I didn't love it, and I felt like reading 12 weekly issues of this story wasn't very necessary. It probably could have easily been a series that was told in 6 issues. If it was in 6 issues, I think it would have been tighter, more cohesive, and some of the characters that they used wouldn't have been necessary. And it would have been, it would have felt like a reason for having been. And it was in addition to an Avengers story coming out. Well, actually, that was the end of the Avengers leading into Jason Aaron's Avengers. But this one was going on weekly that just happened for 10 weeks while the Avengers was going on. So it kind of felt like a cash grab, even if it was good. And I mean, you have sold me on wanting to read it when it comes out in a collected form. But man, it still feels like a little bit of a cash grab.
What, Marvel?
Yeah, well, Marvel is pretty good at flooding the market or the bookshelves of merchandise.
I think they are expert at cash grabs. I think that's why Disney bought them.
Yeah.
Because they're really good at cash grabs.
Yeah, I don't think the comic books do enough for Disney to care about it.
Licensing.
No, well, that's true, but they already have that. And
Disney didn't have that.
They do now.
No, okay. Well, Disney has their own, but Disney by buying Marvel. Well, that they bought tons of IP that is just brandable. Like even I have a Spider-Man T-shirt, and I no business owning it.
Right. Well, so those IPs are already out there. They just created a whole bunch of new ones, or they have tried to establish the fact that all they have to do is just add a wrinkle to an existing character, and it can exist within the same character. So Spider-Man has another Spider-Man, which is Miles Morales, and they have Spider-Gwen, which is an alternate Gwen Stacy Spider-Man. There's Superior Spider-Man, which is Doc Ock. There's Symbiote Spider-Man, not at the same time, but a story that's coming out right now. There's always Spider-Man stuff, and it gets very confusing. So they don't really need comic books. There's a lot of conjecture going from a lot of people all over comic books, from all the way over here to all the way over here. And a lot of them say that Disney doesn't care about Marvel comic books. They only care about Marvel IP. And they can easily make a cartoon and put it on their streaming service and make a movie. All they need is that Marvel logo and the flipping. They don't even use the flipping pages anymore at the beginning of the movie that says Marvel.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Marvel. It's Marvel Entertainment, everybody.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Wait, really? I mean, so they don't care about the comic books. Disney doesn't. When you see one of the movies, all they care about are those characters. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question.
All right, so You've noticed that YouTube and the internet in general and technology, the way that it has advanced, the digital cameras, the software availability, all of these things have basically become ubiquitous in our society, such that almost anybody nowadays with a little bit of drive and ambition can make a movie, animated or otherwise. So do you think that it is a natural progression from the written and drawn comic book to a cartoon or a movie? Do you think it just makes sense that forget comic books? You know, we're moving on to a new medium.
Yeah, I don't. I it's very hard to know because I feel that is reading a thing that we do? I mean, yeah, we do it here on the screen here.
How dare you?
Right?
Look behind me, dude. Look behind me.
Yeah, but they say Americans read less and less than, when we did,
I don't know if that's true, dude, because we're constantly reading on the internet. Constantly.
Uh-huh. But that's not the same.
Word count, probably it is.
A 17 part tweet fest isn't, reading a book. Reading somebody's Facebook post damning somebody or praising somebody isn't, literature or a poem. I mean, it can be poetic, but
I don't understand poetry anyway. So. Do you like it?
Yeah, what reading on the internet is reading Reader's Digest. Is akin to reading the Reader's Digest. That's what my mother would read back.
Man, you are
I'm
mean tonight.
Take that, Reader's Digest. And you know what? My mom really liked Irma Bombeck.
Yeah, she was super popular in her day.
She was. I sell so I'm gonna use a blue word. So beware in a moment. So Irma Bombeck would tell slice of life stories that were humorous, anecdotes, and I sell these kind of self-helpy books. I can't remember what the author's name is, but
David Sedaris?
No, these are called unfuck your head and stuff like that.
You just demonetized this video.
Well, yeah, I know, totally. Uh-huh.
We don't even have monetization set up.
Exactly. We don't have enough anything to make that happen.
Hold on, what is it? Don't tell me the title again. Just give me the structure so I can look it up.
The what was that?
The structure of the title. The unblank your head.
Fuck your mind.
Jeez, I just asked you not to say it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it that way. So unf your mind. And there was one that like unf your relationship.
Gary John Bishop.
Is that who it was?
Oh, wait. There's a bunch. Hold on. There's a bunch.
Yeah.
Faith G. Harper.
That's the one. I think.
I think it's become a dummies thing.
Yeah, it's cute.
Idiot's Guide, Dummies Guides. Yeah. I think it's become something like that because there's a bunch.
So they're kind of humorous little anecdotes with a kind of self-helpy kind of stuff. Oh, here's the one. I had unf your brain and then unf your intimacy. Those are the ones that I carried.
I need that one.
Yeah, and you know what? Believe it or not, I sold those.
Yeah,
as people walk past the store, they see our nonfiction stuff, and that's what they come in and they buy that stuff. It's great.
And they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize Half Price wasn't on the corner anymore."
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. So, let's talk about some comic books that I sold well.
Are we doing a top 5?
Yeah, we should, because we really stretched this out.
Well, like your cousin says, man.
Yeah, don't leave until you hear what these great titles are, everybody.
All right, so get on it, man. Give me and do it in the correct order this time, please.
Yeah, coming in at number 5.
Jeez, like you were born in a barn or something. Like you never seen a top 5 before. Number 1. It's so funny, man. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Coming in at number 5, we had Savage Avengers #1. That was quite a good book. I liked it a lot.
And it's a #1.
Yeah, and oh man, I didn't think I was gonna like Conan being in our universe, but he gets stuck in the Savage Land and he fights Wolverine. I posted a couple of pages from our Fantastic Comics Instagram account, so you should check those out. Anyway, coming in at number 4, we have the miniseries Deceased #1. That's a DC comic book. We'll be talking about that in a second.
Yeah, we talked about last week or whatever when he had the scorpion and spider coming out of his boxes.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Coming in at number 3, we have Paper Girls #28. This is, I think, the last arc of this series, and then it will be over, which will be a nice little 5 or 6 volume thing. The runner-up spot at number 2, we have War of the Realms #3. It was almost an entire sellout. I did sell out of the last of my number 2s, and I had some number 1s, and they're almost gone too. And the #1 book is a monthly comic book, Green Lantern #7. That's sold copies.
How many?
I don't want to talk about numbers.
Well, what did you say? I missed it. I
said it was our #1 book that sold this month. And,
oh, you mean the #1 book was your #1 book?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
that's what you meant.
Yeah, well, shut up.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, for anybody that doesn't know, is drawn expertly by Liam Sharp with writing by Grant Morrison, one of my favorite writers in comic books all time.
So if you had to put him up against old Black Hammer,
Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, Grant Morrison versus Jeff Lemire, who would win?
Well, right now, Jeff Lemire writes a massive amount of titles, and he does them very well. And Grant Morrison does one book. If I need to have multiple books, I guess I would say Jeff Lemire. But Grant Morrison is somebody that you can always go back and reread and find something new going on. He challenges you in story structure, in content, and just in being a smarter person than most other people. Definitely me. And then it's a kind of thing where, he's kind of lording it over you, but it's something that you want to attain. And I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot. It's only things like Happy that I don't really like that he does.
I thought Happy was a good show.
I've heard this, and
I enjoyed it immensely. It's funny.
So you'll have
funny. It was funny.
It's funny, very good. But that's like the only one for me that I really don't like of his.
And it was a comic, yes?
It was, yeah. It was a comic that you knew was being made just so he could shop it around as a television show. Like
it makes a good show. I would have to see the comic to see if I could get behind it as far as products go.
It's drawn by Derek Robertson, who did Metropolitan.
Yeah, no, he's real nice.
And The Boys, which is going to be a TV show.
Okay.
So those are, that's good on Derek Robertson.
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. And what's that other guy that looks like Jeff Darrow?
I'm not
Jeff
sure.
Darrow.
Jeff Darrow.
Yeah. No, I don't know. There's another guy.
I like that Jeff Darrow guy though.
He's amazing. I mean,
he is very good.
No, that is an understatement, sir.
I need some quantity a lot of times to put people in like a higher stratosphere sometimes. And although he's done a lot of really good stuff, not all of his stuff has been his work is always of the highest caliber, but what he's drawing is not always. Anyway, there you go.
You're talking about Darrow.
Yeah, Darrow.
How'd you
I like
feel about
Shaolin Cowboy, but
Big Guy?
that's a fun one.
And what about
Hard boiled.
Hard Boiled?
And that's a good one. I'm
And
not
what about
always
the gunslinger stuff?
so Shaolin Cowboy.
Yeah.
Again, so very good stuff. And like that's pretty much all of his work, right?
It's the only stuff I can think of offhand.
Pretty much that's it for me too. I'm sure there's like some other things, little things here and there, but now you're looking at what that work was, and is it like seminal? I mean, if I could only take like 5 books with me, would any of those be it?
Ouch.
Ooh, I know. So
What would
again,
they? What are your what?
if I have to reread something, you know,
Yeah, so what are your
I mean, if I was just going to go strictly illustration wise, I'd probably do something like Jim Woodring instead.
he's fun.
Yeah.
Hold on.
There's a guy named Brendan McCarthy, and his stuff is crazy, super crazy stuff. And I like those guys a lot. Bill Sienkiewicz.
I don't like Bill Sienkiewicz.
You don't?
I do not.
Okay.
Do you like this?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Does that come with a record? Yeah.
It's a CD, I think.
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. I can't remember what it sounds.
Here it is. See?
It's like jaunty, like weird, whimsical music.
So I have another one of his books. I think it's just called Woodring.
Yes.
And this guy, the stuff that he draws, it looks like he's on DMT.
Yeah, I don't think he does anything like that.
I don't understand how that's even possible.
Because he's there's
high on life.
I used to date a girl where she would be like talking about acid and achieving opening your third eye and stuff like that.
Okay.
But she was like really into like the concept of, you kind of should do that naturally if you can. And some people are like, oh, I'm really artistic when I'm doing that kind of stuff and whatnot. But Woodring doesn't need it. I mean,
it's not that I doubt you. It's that the stuff inside his drawings looks too much like the stuff you see.
I think he dreams it.
Then maybe he's just in touch with the same part of your brain that you don't normally get to be in touch with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, why did Van Gogh paint the way that he painted? There's always some jackass trying to make an explanation or build a career off of some hypothesis that Van Gogh actually he was completely colorblind, or he had night vision, and that's why he could see. That kind of stuff pops up in the what's the last one I saw? It's like, Da Vinci had, like some kind of like crippled hand disease. Art history makes me sick, but it is possible. There are people who see the world differently than you and I.
Yeah.
And for all we know, we're one of those people, we
Sure.
don't know. It's very hard to get into the head of other people. But when you hear music that's just unlike anything you've ever heard before, or you see art that's unlike anything you've ever seen before, like Jim Woodring, you kind of got to wonder, man, like why are these people able to tap into something that no one else can see or hear? And hopefully it's not cocaine. I mean, that's James Brown right there. James Brown was a gifted musician, but if it hadn't been for cocaine, I don't know.
Well, he had to get up, right?
Dude, that
guy did the splits a lot.
You ever do cocaine? All right, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Never mind. I don't want to know. But for those people out there in the real world who have tried the stuff, they might recognize the fact that you hear music and you see things if you close your eyes, and those things that you see and hear they're transient, man. They don't stick around. So if you don't write them down, they're gone.
Uh-huh.
And James Brown was writing it down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, don't believe me.
Oh no, that's fine. I didn't know. Okay, very good. Yeah, well, that stuff never really does anything for me. I just all that upper kind of stuff just really makes me kind of sick. So I don't really like do it too often, ever, really.
It's
But
usually pretty expensive too, and it's hard on your body, so it's probably for the best that you stay away from it.
I remember in high school, you get that talk where the assembly comes, and then the guy comes in and he was like, I could put like I got to the point where I could put I do my handkerchief and he's like basically I could put the whole handkerchief through his nose because of all the cocaine that he did, and it was like eating up the nose canal and whatnot. And he had to try and scare us to keep us straight,
Don't do that thing that I did a lot of because I can do this now. Otherwise, this guy's perfectly normal, right? And we want to hang out with him. Right?
Man. What about freaking? I mean,
what's Goat Girl's name?
What was that?
What is Goat Girl's name?
Goat Girl?
Stevie Nicks.
Oh,
I would hang out with Stevie Nicks to this day. I don't care how much cocaine she did.
Yeah.
I bet she could put something through her nose like that, no sweat. That girl did a ton of cocaine.
Yeah. Well,
I guess she's a woman. I don't know, but she did a lot. That woman did a lot of cocaine, from what I understand.
A lot. I'm sure.
Man, if you were popular in the 80s, if you were a popular musician in the 80s and you weren't doing a lot of cocaine, you were doing it wrong. Come on.
It was like Saturday Night Fever all the time.
Do you like ABBA?
Of course. Who doesn't love ABBA?
I don't know. I've met people that claim that they don't like it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm like a super fan, but who does? I mean, I'm not going to go see Mamma Mia. Jesus.
I don't think it's aimed at you, man.
Well, of course not. I am a straight and a man, so why would I want to go see that?
The music would probably be great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just like. Well, I mean, those are like such ham-fisted musicals. I mean, they're just. Oh, this is a story about something going on set to the music of ABBA. It's like.
Is it something Jill would watch?
Pardon me?
Would Jill watch it?
I think she saw that, but I'm not. I don't think she wanted to go see that.
Because there's another one. There's a second one.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I can't get comfortable. That's why I'm all over the place.
Very good. So, you want to talk about a couple comics I read?
Yeah, tell me what you read.
This is a big deal. So we were talking about the internet, how it sucks sometimes, right?
Yes, I don't know. I'm not committing to anything that you say right now.
Okay, very good. So there's this comic book, Deceased, and I read it. And it's got fantastic illustrations, by the way. Trevor Harazine does part of the story, and James Herron does the other part. The other part is when Cyborg is on Apocalypse. I'm going to get to a couple pages. He uses thick lines, and it's darker looking, but it's very good because it's reminiscent of Kirby. This guy kind of has a Kirby style. He works on a book called I can't remember right now. I should have written that down. Anyway, he works on that book. Oh, Rumble is what it's called.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that book.
Yeah. He also did a couple issues of Thor. He did the what was it? The Mangog story at the end of the Jane Thor series. And it's fantastic work. Anyway, he does big monsters really well. And then Trevor Harazine has a finer line. Let me see if I can show you. He does this page right here.
Yeah.
And the whole story is this. Darkseid steals away Cyborg. Firstly, this is an alternate universe. So you don't have to worry about this affecting any normal storylines. It is in itself just its own story. It's very reminiscent of Marvel's Zombies, which was an alternate story where what if all the superheroes became zombies? That one was good. This one is, I like this one a lot also. So Darkseid gets he basically dies infusing antimatter or anti-life equation in Cyborg. And since Cyborg's like, mostly machine, when he gets sent back to Earth, it basically affects all internet. And anybody that's like surfing the web on their phone or on their computers or anything like that, they basically turn into these undead monsters. And we're following Superman, and he has to go rescue Lois, who's with John and Damian Wayne. And then, of course, Batman's at the Bat computer, and he's like, "Why are
Bat
all
computer.
Bat computer?" And he's like, "Oh, there's a virus, blah 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 blah." And he's like, "I'm gonna shut down everything." It's good. I like this one a lot. Tom Taylor has played with the internet and social media before in X-Men Red. I did not like that. He did it with a character named Trinary, and she used her mutant ability to affect. I don't know what she does. She gets her power from like social media or something like that. And she used all negative energy to shut down this machine. Anyway, that was kind of stupid, but I like this one. As far as the first issue, it's really good.
Hey, wait a minute. I got a question.
Yeah.
So you said Trinary was stupid.
I did.
Because she gets her power from the internet.
Yeah.
Now,
I might be misrepresenting it a bit.
All right. Well, anyway, it's a related question about Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Or Jesus.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not picky. You pick a superhero, but don't you find that to be kind of a weak story point, as it were?
What, like taking your energy from
without your believers, you don't have any power?
Well, in Uncle Sam, it's supposed to be like the spirit of,
Oh no, I get it.
Embodied in a physical being. I don't know about Jesus. And I mean, if you're gonna have a mutant power, I always joke that mine would be like, being able to make neon signs. That'd be my big mutant power.
That would be you'd be a glass maker?
Yeah, it would be awesome, actually. I would love it. Everywhere I go, I just make neon signs.
They'd hate you in Berkeley, man. They'd kick you out.
Right, that's right.
No new neon.
No new neon. No nude neon. Anyhow.
What would be your name?
I don't know, but I have a villain, actually.
Wait. You want to be a villain, or you
have a villain name?
Oh, you do? What is it?
No, this is a different one. This is a different character, different mutant power.
Yeah, I get it. What is it?
The power is his head turns into different topiaries.
Topia? You mean the plants that are shaped?
Yeah, topiary man.
What does he do?
I just told you what he does.
How does he use his power for evil, Dim?
He's just a villain, and he is topiary man.
Shut up, man. That is like straight out of the Flaming Carrot.
That's what I'm hoping for in that.
That is actually, I would watch that.
That's a Yule original.
Is he still alive?
No, Bob Burden.
Really?
He was a drunk.
So was never mind. So many people are. That's too bad.
Yeah, he was really good.
What would be your special superpower if you could choose a superpower?
I just told you, the neon.
No, that's not serious, Yule. Like, seriously, if you could choose a superpower, what would it be? One. Not like, not like the Lord of the Rings where you get to choose a ring that controls them all.
How about I would want my power to be able to block people from reading my mind.
Nobody can read your mind.
That's right.
No, I mean, nobody can read your mind now, Yule. In fact, they have a hard time understanding you when you speak sometimes.
Well, that's true. If I had a power, then that means other people would have powers. So
Okay.
I want a power that prevents people from reading my mind.
Your power is very passive. And it's going to be very hard for you to become a supervillain with that power.
Well, I'm not going to be a supervillain or a hero.
You would be called the Secret because nobody would be able to get it from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, can't read my mind. Anybody can trust you with secrets.
I don't want anybody to read my mind. That's the only safe space.
Wow, you realize though that they don't need to read your mind; they just torture you for the information.
Oh, yeah, but that's not.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, for me, it would be, yes.
It works, and it would work on you, and it would work on me. They would just have to sift through a bunch of bullshit when I was trying to lie, and then I'd be like, "I'm going to tell you the truth because I want you to stop torturing me now." And I'd be like, "Oh, well, you're out of fingers anyway," and I'd be like, "I noticed."
I don't think. No, but torture. Come on, seriously. Do you wear women's panties?
Not usually.
Yes.
Only when necessary.
You like it? Yes. Do you eat them afterwards? I do. Yeah, of course. Can't trust anything I'm going to say.
Silly man.
So, Uncanny X-Men. This has a lot of heat on it right now.
Why?
Because Rain Sinclair Wolvesbane died at the end of last issue off panel. And Danny Moonstar, who we've talked about endlessly in previous episodes, has a psychic link with her, and she's like, oh, Wolvesbane's dead. So this is a funeral issue. And Cyclops at the beginning. It's I like this book right off the bat, let me tell you. Rosenberg has been doing pretty good, and this is a new artist filling in called Carlos Gomez. And here in the very beginning, Cyclops is telling Wolverine, get your ass in gear, get dressed, we're going to a funeral. And Wolverine says, I mourn my way. And he takes a villain that they have imprisoned in the bottom of the bar that they hang out at, and Wolverine and that person go to a little house. And meanwhile, as they're doing that, the funeral's going on, and people are getting up and having conversations with, or giving their little speeches and their eulogies. Anyway, Wolverine and this woman that he took with him, they go into this frat house. Here's a bunch of dudes, and they go in and basically psychically attack their minds and get the scene laid out for them and what happened. And basically they went to the park and they see Rain there, and she wolfs out on them, and they beat her to death. Even though she's a mutant, and even though she's Wolvesbane and can turn into a werewolf and totally slaughter those people, she did not do that, and she ended up dying. At the end, when she had left the X-Men, she just said she wanted to be normal, try and live a normal life. The thing that's getting people talking about it is that there's this line here where when the guy who was hitting on Rain finds out she's a werewolf, or a mutant actually, he says, is that what this is, freak? You out here to trap normal guys? Huh? Now, Lowell here. My question to you is, do you know what a trap is?
I don't, but from the context, I would guess that it's like catfishing.
No, kind of, sort of, yeah. So, and I'm going to try and talk about this as sensitively as possible. Okay.
Okay, but
There
you're not.
is-
Don't spare my ears. I have thick
I
skin.
know. I just want to let everybody know that we're going to just talk about it for a second. So, a trap is so there's a question out there that some people ask, and are traps gay? And the concept is, I actually Googled this. I know. Take it easy. So I Googled this. Trap is Urban Dictionary. It's a term uh, when towards people who would at first appear to be cute girls, but are actually boys who have a more feminine side. Okay. So this is still PG-13, I think.
Okay, I understand.
So the metaphor that some people are taking in this is for like transsexuals or transitioning individuals. They are considered to be traps. Or that's the question. So,
But you can't be a trap if you're not representing a gender that you aren't biologically. Is that correct?
So let's take this and talk about mutants again.
Okay.
Some mutants have gills, and they're mutants. Some
There's
have
Ruby.
sign powers. Some have topiaries for heads, and some have awesome powers like Colossus or Cyclops or Storm. And even though they look like normal people, normally, they can go back and forth and not have to worry about it. And Rain Sinclair, Wolfsbane, is exactly that way. And so this guy comes up and hits on her, and they take it horribly. And of course, the one guy is like, the guys are making fun of him for that. And, so that is what a lot of people on the internet have talked about when talking about this issue.
All right, tell me about this character again. This is a character that can do what now?
She's basically a lycanthrope. She's a mutant that's a lycanthrope.
Okay.
And
how is this person a trap?
All right, so all right, going one more time. So you are interested in her, but
yeah, because she's a hot girl. Got it.
Hot girl. The hot girl says, no, I'm not really interested. And they're like, come on, baby, like this, right?
Yeah.
Then she's like, no, and she kind of wigs out and lets her mutant power occur.
So that I get to see this hot chick turn into a semi-hot werewolf. Is that right?
Well, mutants are supposed to be hated people in the real world, or not a whole lot of people love them or understand them. So, all right, it's one thing if you're Nightcrawler and you have a forked tail and you're blue.
And you can't hide it.
And you can't hide it.
Yeah.
But when you're a normal person, I'm saying that with air quotes, normal, and you can turn into something later on. It's like, oh, I, as a person who was interested in you, and I am now, not only am I being made fun of by my friends over here for liking you, but I'm looking at you as like, oh man, you're hiding something from me.
Not a trap.
Right.
Not a trap.
Not a trap. Well, that's fine. But but then in the real world, our real world, that would be a lot of times in, hey, there's a nice lady.
Okay, so the reason I don't think it's a trap,
and find out, and then you're like, oh, and there's the conversation that you have afterwards as a result of that.
Okay, the reason I don't think that is a trap or constitutes a trap is simple logic, right? This person was hitting on her. In order to get him to stop, she tipped her hand, right? Yeah. That's the opposite of a trap.
I agree. The trap was the very beginning of looking like a woman to begin with.
She is a woman.
She is.
It's not her fault that she attracted the attention of a ding dong.
I said that wrong. For not looking like a mutant all the time is what I'm saying.
Okay, so I noticed a couple of years ago, I noticed that it's really, really, because I had long hair. I had hair down to my ass. Okay. And if I was like walking on the side of the road when I was a kid in Texas, every now and then I'd just be minding my business, and somebody in a truck would drive by and whistle. Now, was I a trap?
No, no.
All they saw was long hair, and that was enough.
Sure. I remember, you walk, you're driving, and you see some long hair.
And you're like, oh, I see long hair. Well, that's very interesting.
Take a look. Oh my!
It is enough. It is enough to have like that big blonde porn hair.
Yeah, that
is enough to create the trap.
Sure thing.
So it is. Like I notice. I mean, I don't know if we should talk about this, man.
Well, I don't want to talk about it too much. Anyway, that's what the book is. I mean, that's the book. That's what here.
And that's the hubbub on the internet.
And that's the hubbub. I think it's, it's good because it's X-Men. We're just talking about mutants, and you can have a deeper conversation in real world in comic books. It doesn't have to like, I mean, and I don't personally think that's necessarily what the guy was getting at. The thing about it is the X-Men could be race relations and gender equality and all sorts of things going on in the book for whoever's reading it, and that's like
any group that is maligned.
Exactly. And I mean everybody, and then when you have the New Mutants, it's like, and that's where Reign comes from. You have younger people, and everybody feels like they're isolated and individuals, and nobody understands them. And then that book was very successful in that regard also. So, and then on top of it, we have a main character dying, and we're watching her basically get pummeled to death by these sons of bitches. So, boo. I don't like the fact that she had to go and die. She could have just been laid up in a hospital bed and not recover for a long time. Also, not using her power to get even or prevent herself from dying sucks. Because unlike people that are traps, they can't necessarily defend themselves, and that sucks. So if that story was indeed, I don't know. It's like everybody gets upset about something anyway, so it really doesn't matter. And it's not necessarily that people were getting upset; they were just like identifying and talking about the story, and it really is like probably 5 people and like 100 bots retweeting it and stuff like that. But I think it's a very interesting story. I'm sure the Mutant Menace is going to be talking about it on one of his YouTube shows, so you should definitely check that out when he does. Anyway,
that's a good plug too. Mutant Menace.
That's right. War of the Realms #3 was really good. Thor finally makes an appearance. I'm not going to say anything more.
Why?
Because I'm reading chat. It does parallel. Yeah, that's the one thing. I kind of stopped in the middle of what I was saying because then if if she doesn't die, then it kind of if it is an allegory or that we're watching or a metaphor that we're watching in this comic play out, then you're right, people don't live through attacks quite often. It's weird because sometimes when you're dealing with superheroes, especially superheroes that can come back from the dead and excuse me. And
pennies, man.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, in superheroes that can, just do, like Doctor Strange can magic up all sorts of stuff. People die of cancer. I mean, seriously. I mean, a superhero can die of cancer. Wolverine super heals quick, and I don't know. It's hard having real conversations about real things in the real world when superheroes are around. The Authority tried it, and even they ran into not being able to do things all the time. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's anyway, War of the Realms was really good. Like I said, Thor shows up at the end. It's all about the different groups getting together and doing their things. And the one thing that's also really cool is Daredevil basically pulls Heimdall's sword and becomes the guy who basically makes the Bifrost rainbow, or the Rainbow Bridge, come back again, so that the realms could be traversed. And there's some cool things with him in it, where he's like, oh, I can see what's going on here. And he's the perfect person because, he's blind, just like, Heimdall is.
Wait, Heimdall's blind?
I think he is, yeah.
No, come on, man.
When you're, he's kind of like, I see everything out here, but not anything in front of me.
He's all spaced out for sure, but he's not blind, man. How is he the defender of those people at the end of one of those Thor movies if he can't see?
All right, whatever. I don't talk
it's
about
blue contact lenses, man. It's just blue contact lenses.
All right, well, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Anyway, Daredevil is blind, and now he's the guy who can see everything. So, Fantinuum, just to let you know, tomorrow, or let me let everybody know, tomorrow, Wednesday, we will not be getting brand new comic books. They will be coming in on Friday. There was this crazy snafu that occurred, and we've done everything we can to get our books in, but it's going to be Friday when we get them sometime. We will definitely pull your stuff. There you go. Heimdall was blinded. But let me tell you what's coming out this week. These are the things you should be definitely paying attention to. This is important also.
Bruja just said a funny.
Blind. Oh, I see.
Yule doesn't think it's funny. I thought it was
funny. I don't. What was I supposed to be?
Anyway, moving on.
All right, very good. Anyway, Batman and the Outsiders #1 is coming out. That's written by Brian Hill. He does American Carnage. He did Wild Storm's Michael Cray storyline, and he's done some other stuff, including Right the Titans television series. Black Badge #9's coming out. This is 2 weeks late. 2 weeks late coming into our store, even though everybody else has had it for 2 weeks.
What?
That was a diamond snafu.
I think they no longer... Never mind.
So now we'll see how that sells, because I'm going to get my normal amount. I keep it pretty tight, so I think it will be normal. Anyway, Black Hammer #10 is coming out. That's a favorite. Conan the Barbarian #6 is coming out. I also think Savage Sword of Conan's coming out. There's 4 new Alterna titles. ICYMI. That's #4. It came out on a Wednesday, #6. Midnight Mystery #4. That one's a good one. I like that. And then a brand new one, Mighty Mascots. Those are all miniseries. There's a new miniseries coming out from Dynamite. It is Red Sonja, Vampirella, Betty and Veronica #1. Do you have anything to say about that one?
I did something when I was young that I'm not proud of, and it has to do with comic books and Vampirella and a #1 issue that I bought ages and ages and ages ago. You know how, like, sometimes when you open the diamond boxes back in the day, they might not have that piece of cardboard on top, and so the blade will cut the top issue.
You bladed it.
I didn't blade it. I bought it and it was bladed. And I didn't know. And they probably didn't know. They probably sold it to me not knowing.
Right. Sure.
But anyway, I had one and it was bladed. And then I found out that it was bladed. And so I was like, I'm getting rid of this. And it was Vampirella Horror Stories or something. Anyway, somebody wanted to buy it for a lot of money, like 30 or 40 bucks. So I sold it to him for 30, 40 bucks. Bladed.
Oh, you're a horrible person.
But it's these mistakes that we make as children.
Oh, you were a kid.
Well, I was like 18, 19.
Well, that's not a kid anymore.
It is. If you were me, it was. I just grew up last year. I don't know. It was all at one time, you know. I went from a boy to a man in one day.
Yeah. All in
Yeah,
one.
2018 sometime. Well, I wouldn't do that these days, but at the same time, Vampirella. Whoop.
Yeah, I'm sure I was horrible at 19 also.
Well, I mean, I think we're very different people when we're that young.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 20 something years ago now. It's 23 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Not even close to the same person.
So
Crickets. Moving on.
so I had one other book I was going to talk about.
What is it?
This one's called Jungle Comics #1.
Who drew it?
A guy named Kelsey Shannon.
Hmm.
And it's written by Chuck Dixon. And I'm a big fan of Chucky Dix. I like him. Chucky Dix is I so when I cared about things like that a little bit more, I found out that he was like a gun-toting Republican kind of guy. And I was like, ugh. But the thing is that normally I don't like any comic books where there's a lot of gunplay or anything like that. But I have always found that when I have read them and enjoyed things like that, so all the way back in when I read Evangeline, when that first came out, and there's another guy also, Mike Barron, like when he would do Badger, but Chuck Dixon did Punisher, Birds of Prey, Nightwing. These were all really Robin. These were all really good for DC, and I liked them a lot. He also did Alien Legion. Do you ever remember that at all?
Yes.
That was a space marine kind of story,
Sure.
and he wrote a lot of those, if I'm not mistaken. And anytime he also did for Wildstorm Team 7. Anytime there's like military type stories, and again, I'm not usually into that type of thing, but he always seems to do really good versions of that. Anyway, this is Jungle Comics. There's this company called Boundless, and they do really, really porny kind of comic books. And I didn't realize that since they were in Diamond's proper magazine and not online only, where they put their pornographic material so you can see if you want to order them, they had, this comic book that they're going to have come out. I mean, I always knew they're kind of like booby and butt books. But, people like that. I thought, oh, I'll get some of these. And there was this one that was like called Jungle Action or something like that. And I'm like, all right, this is obvious. It's going to be like Sheena. It's going to be chicks and like, leopard
print bikini.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great. They're going to be doing action stuff and probably fighting some dudes and whatnot. And it was like straight on porn, man. It was like, and this is when we had like Juliet and Heather and everybody working there. And Juliet's like, I'm not putting this out on the shelf, and I'm not at the store, right? And I'm like, what the hell do you mean you're not putting this on the shelf? And she's like, it's rapey. And I'm like, oh, she's just being all, sensitive about it. And I'm very, booby. I'm very sensitive about, free speech and, not censoring stuff. And, we're in Berkeley and we can get away with stuff that other people don't get away with. So, we should really push the envelope and, represent. And yeah, it was pretty porny. It was pretty rapey. I mean, the ladies are coming back from their situation, but I don't need to carry it. So hopefully this Jungle Comics is going to be the titillating experience we all want to read in a comic book, with the action and the leopard bikini prints.
And not the rapey comic that you can't show.
Comic, exactly.
Yeah.
I trust Chuck Dixon because even though he loves his Republicans, he always writes a good story.
Oh, well.
Hey, you can't help it, man. If you like something, you like something, right? Anyway, I think this is going to be a good book. Kelsey Fannon's a good artist also. He's done some other stuff I can't think of right now. I know he's done something Indiegogo related, but as far as mainstream is concerned, I think there was like Archie comics or something, like maybe like a Mighty Crusaders. I can't remember, but it looked good too.
So we talked about this a while back. I'm going to bring it up again because I told you earlier that I do like a little bit of NPR every now and then. And it was listening to NPR going into City one time when the guy that's running Archie was being interviewed.
Yes.
And he was sitting on a bus somewhere and he had an issue of Archie or Betty or Veronica or something, a new issue. And he was sitting down next to some young woman and she's like, "Oh, they still make that?" So needless to say, in that point of the interview, you know, he's like, "I went back to the office and I sat everybody down and I was like, look, we need to make some changes." Yeah, they needed to make some changes, but I think they've done so. And if Netflix is any indication, their stuff is not doing poorly anymore.
The thing is all right, so
Dude, Sabrina looks so good.
So here we have a problem.
What's the problem?
There's a disconnect somewhere. We have a movie that just came out that made $1 billion in 3 freaking days.
And couldn't sell a comic book.
And I mean, a few years ago, before the Avengers movie, when Jonathan Hickman started up, just before Avengers came out, we were selling like 100 and something copies of that. Granted, there was a movie coming out and everybody was excited. But I mean, I really think we sold like 150 copies of that book. Obviously, the numbers dwindle as successive issues happen. But at its height or at its lowest, it sold better than Avengers does now at its best. There is there's a disconnect. Something has happened where people aren't buying comic books or mainstream comic books like they used to.
Well,
and
yes,
you can guarantee
there it goes again
that Archie doesn't sell even 2% of what Marvel sells.
That's true, but I bet you they just went from making like a couple $100 a year to a couple of million.
Well, all right, so you're talking about an IP.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so yes, all right.
They turned that company around.
They did, without a doubt. And also, I shouldn't really blast Archie quite so much because these days Marvel has lots of titles that are actually low in sales that would make you think they were just an independent publisher. So anyhow, the IP for Archie is out there. People know. There's Riverdale, there's Sabrina, there's going to be, I assume there's going to be like an Afterlife with Archie or something like that. Good for them, but this is like IKEA. They cut down their forests to make furniture to sell to the world. Well, eventually there's going to be a lot less forest, and then how are they going to make their furniture?
Okay, well that's fair, but they just can import their furniture, or they can import the lumber to build their furniture.
Well, then their working model's different, right?
It is, and I know what you're getting at, and I understand, but dude, that company was a joke. I mean, Archie was just no, so dumb, just a dumb comic book that I wanted nothing to do with as a kid.
I never wanted anything. I hated it.
Yeah, it was. However, it was sold in the grocery stores at the checkout aisle. So you don't think that had an advantage over every other comic book in the world?
Without a doubt. One of the best-selling comics used to be the Disney comic book. And it was in all the grocery stores, but Disney decided to not do that anymore. And there you go.
Well, if you could sell graphic novels at a movie theater when people were coming out of the Marvel movies, I bet you would do pretty well. The relative stuff, you know?
Well, we're going to see that.
And if you could sell comics at Walmart and
Well,
Target.
that is happening. DC is going to have, so DC experimented last year with a Walmart exclusive book that cost $5. It was
Exclusive is bad. I don't
All
like
right, I totally agree there, and I hated it. I mean, it was very upsetting. So what would happen is if you were a comic store, you would go to Walmart and try and buy up all the copies and then sell them online for high dollars. So that was something people did. If you were a person that had a Walmart around you and there
and
were
let's be honest, who doesn't?
Exactly. But there were no comic stores around you. Those comics were actually in the store for people to buy. So people don't know if it was successful because of all the people scalping them or if it was successful because, it actually got into the hands of people. But DC looked at it as a success. And rather than be exclusive to Walmart going forward, they're going to do comics that are going to be in Walmart and be in Target and also be able to be in comic book stores also.
How long did they run this experiment?
They did it for like a year. There was a Batman, a Superman, a Justice League, and I think a Teen Titans. And what they would do is they would have a 15 to 30 page story, normal page story. I'm not sure what the length was. And then they would have like 3 or 4 stories from DC past. And the Batman was written by Brian Michael Bendis, my favorite. Tom King did the Superman. And I don't remember who did the other ones.
How many issues total?
I assume a year's worth, 10 or 12.
Okay. Sorry, I'm typing in chat.
No, that's all right. So that's kind of what I think, they're trying to do to go forward to get their name brand recognition out there. That doesn't get people into comic stores, but it lets you know that those things exist and that you can look for them somewhere else. If you get a comic that has a story from some, year past, then, it might get someone that's enthused to search out a little bit more information and find out that they have a store near them, or in the very least they can order online.
Yeah.
Or because of DC streaming. And now this is where I am a little less excited about. So we have DC streaming. You can sign up for that. You can do a year-long stream, and you can get all their television. It's going to have Batman the Animated Series. It has that Titan series that Brian Hill wrote some of the episodes of. They have a Doom Patrol I hear is really good. There's a Young Justice cartoon. There's more and more and more. And in addition, if you're on the computer, you can access all the comic books that they have online. Now you have to keep your monthly, thing going, but I don't know if I love that idea as far as comic stores are concerned.
I don't like subscription services in general, so I'm not into it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. No, I like comic books because they're a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to read them online. I don't care about accessibility. I don't know. They're doing it with, I watched a really good, long video of a guy who was basically trying to convince his viewers that games as a service is fraud. And I have to say, I agree with him at this point, completely. And I think comics as a service is kind of fraud as well, because you're paying for this product that you don't actually get. And if their server goes down, you can't read it. And if they decide to shut the server down forever, where does the comic book go? Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Do you? Because I don't think you do. It's not saved to your computer with a key.
Well,
and even if it should, though, it should save to your computer. It shouldn't even require a key. You should have that as a digital copy on your computer, not theirs.
Right.
Otherwise, they're selling you a service and they're not giving you anything for it, and they're not calling it a service.
Yeah. Well, there's a yeah, and then you get into terms of services and stuff like that, and that stuff can get shady. Did you hear about Facebook?
Ooh, no.
Oh my
What's
God.
Facebook? I never heard of it.
It's a website where people
Website.
talk to each other and like things together and be parts of communities on a shut up, anyhow. Facebook, I guess, recently got rid of a whole bunch of people that they found problematic, and I think there was like a couple other services like Twitter that did something similar.
Okay.
One of the ones is there's this website called Bounding Into Comics, and they're I would God, if you talk to the right person, you could probably get, oh, they're like a Breitbart for comics. It's probably what a particular type of person might say. They got shut down from Facebook, and I guess they have like a ton of people that like traffic through there like crazy. So that's comic book related.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so they're going around and they're shutting people down. I'm sure Fantinuum could tell you more about that.
I heard they were shutting down Milo,
I'm sure.
and
Isn't he always though?
well, I don't really appreciate what Milo does.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know, man. It's like in this modern age, they've got to create the rules and they've got to figure it out. And if by figuring it out, that means they have to shut down a guy that thinks he's a provocateur, then go for it. Shut him down. See what happens. We'll figure it out eventually.
yeah. But I don't know, man. That Bounding in the comics, they even have a blurb on the Black Hammer trade, like right on the front of it.
Yeah.
On a Jeff Lemire book, and he's I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. Like they're like a legitimate, internet comic book source, of information. It's usually bitching about people talking about stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. But these days, that's like news. Until it's not news anymore, they're just as legitimate as anybody else.
Okay, so let me throw something at you hypothetically here. Let's say that I write a book.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Charles Bukowski.
Yeah.
All right. And he's still alive. He hasn't drunk himself to death yet. And he writes a blurb for my book. And he's like, oh, you got to read this guy's book. It's the greatest thing I've read since blah, blah, blah. Right.
Right.
And then, 2 months later, find out that old Charles Bukowski was doing really nasty things to people. Okay. Sure. Hypothetical. We don't know. Anyway, so then now I've got this blurb on my book that I don't want on my book anymore.
Yeah.
Right. All because do I respect the man as a writer? Yeah. Do I like his books? Yeah. Do I want his blurb on my book? Yeah. Yeah. Did he do horrible things to people? I don't know. Maybe. Do I want his blurb on my book? Yeah, I kind of do anyway. I'm torn on this stuff a lot of the time because in the past we wouldn't have even known. And now that we do know, it's like it's our obligation to kind of hold people accountable. So maybe just being a venue is not enough anymore. Maybe it's not enough to have a lot of traffic. Maybe it's not enough that you have a good eye as a critic. Maybe now everything that you've done in your life is open to the public. And so you have to be much more careful with what you say.
I shouldn't have talked about traps then.
I think that was a good one, man, personally.
I think so too, actually. I think it was a good for conversation.
I don't know, though. I mean, the whole thing is a mess. It really is. And ultimately, it's only a mess for the people that are trying to become wealthy in these venues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of the outrage and stuff is centered around people that want the outrage around them for attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's how you want to build your career, go ahead. You're no better than Milo.
Well, it is very good for getting people to notice you, without a doubt.
Yeah, but like, do you want to be noticed or remembered as the guy who got fake beat up?
Yeah, like, I get your yeah, sure, exactly. Well, I mean, if we're just talking about like creating controversy so that people pay attention to you, that's that I think that's legitimate. I mean, the thing is if you like Rush Limbaugh, I mean, that guy's always got something to bitch about. When things are going great, he's still bitching about something. When things aren't going great, he's bitching about something. You that's what keeps people coming back, because they want to know what to bitch about.
Well, they also don't have the intelligence or the creativity to bitch on their own.
Sure,
right. So they need the talking points for ammunition for when they do run across a liberal.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right. I can go the other way. I listened to someone called Randy Rhoads also. And
the wrestler?
What was that?
The wrestler?
No. Randy Rhoads would have been the guitarist, I do believe.
Oh, from Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and like Quiet Riot, I think also.
Oh, I don't know my rock music anymore, apparently.
Yeah. But anyhow, R.I.P. Anyhow, we've got, so she's wonderful. She's a great wacky liberal, and I dig her. She usually says pretty cool things. She's like a good little I like to hear all sides of people bitching about things, but that's all they ever do is bitch. And that's the thing. If I just railed about Brian Michael Bendis for like an hour and a half, I bet we'd get a lot of views, and I could probably do it for 4 or 5 episodes straight, easy.
Dude, let's do it next week just to see what happens.
Next week is bitch about Bendis.
Brian Michael Bendis is terrible. God. That'll be fun. I don't care about him at all.
Here's some Brian Michael Bendis news. Okay.
Oh, geez, look at the time though.
I know. I got to do this quick. Okay. This is big deal. This is a real big deal. Bendis came over and he basically displaced everybody on the Superman books, and that included Tomasi and Gleason. Tomasi is the writer, Gleason's the artist. And just a couple days ago, C.B. Cebulski at Marvel said that Gleason he signed an exclusive contract with Marvel, and he's going to be doing Amazing Spider-Man. That's pretty big.
So that's what happens when you poach from one company.
Well, that's how it usually works, yeah.
I would do the same thing. If I was working on a book and somebody brought in some fancy schmancy ding-a-ling to replace me, yeah, I would leave.
I would too. The only thing you hear that Marvel doesn't really pay that well, so maybe they actually backed up a truck for finally to get somebody.
Well, is that person worth a truck?
He's really super solid.
Okay.
I mean, really, really solid. And not only that, it's a look that Marvel doesn't have in their house right now. So I think it's a good way to go. And definitely Spider-Man's a great book for him. So if you're going to pay somebody money, you want to put them on a big book, and Spider-Man's a big book still.
Yeah, no kidding. Like put them on Daredevil straight away.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Or a Doctor Doom #1, perhaps?
Well, anything #1. So
okay, Doctor Doom #2.
Do not restart Spider-Man just because this dude's coming on, though.
You think someday they'll give up? Never mind. We're done. This show is over. Anything that we need to talk about happens next week, man. We're 23 minutes beyond the beyond.
Yeah. It was great talking to everybody, though.
Hey, you guys, thanks for showing up tonight. We really appreciate it. Bruja, congratulations on the raffle. Fantinium, thanks for showing up. Yule's cousin who didn't hang out, no big deal. We don't mind. We don't mind. I'm kidding. Love you all. Thank you. And have a good night.
Night.